As we are coming back in from our homework check groups, we want to go ahead and start our review. If you have your packet, I want you to work on number 3 and number 4 of your review. If you do not have your packet, I will put it up on the screen. We want to take about 3 minutes. Go ahead and work on these review problems. While you're working on the review, I'm going to remind you of the expectations. Remember, you should be sitting up tall, not laying on your bed, not laying on the couch. You should have your eyes on the screen when a teacher is speaking and your eyes on the paper when it is time to work. Make sure that your hands are not moving around, that you're extremely focused the entire time. I see Eugenia has pencil to paper, Amadou has pencil to paper, Asira is working urgently. Bella's finding her packets. Michael put pencil to paper. Just checking each screen, making sure we're working. Asira, if this is a question about the math, then hold on for a second. If it's a question about somebody else, chat a teacher. Krista, still waiting to see your face in the screen. I know you're having trouble with your computer right now, and that's totally fine, but I need to see your face. Okay, we're taking 1 more minute on this. 1 more minute, working urgently the whole time. Corey, make sure you have pencil to paper. Javion is working. Phoebe's working. Corey, sit up nice and tall. You're doing great this morning. David, sit up tall. Okay, Greg, unmute yourself, please. Everyone else, put your pencil down, put your eyes on the screen, listening to what I'm asking Greg and thinking if you would say the same thing. Justine, waiting on your eyes. Kareem, waiting on your eyes. Mariama, eyes. Haley's where she's supposed to be. Ooh, Eugenia looks really sharp today. Haley, make sure to sit up. You can lean against your wall on your finger, but just make sure it's sitting up tall. Jaden is there. Randy is there. Great. So Greg, when I have an object like the 2 of these where they're not a normal rectangular prism, what do I have to do?
What you have to do is you have to find the other parts that aren't labeled.
Well, is that the first thing I do? Okay, so what's the first thing I do, Greg? We did it all last week. Remember, we have to take weirdly shaped rectangular prisms and we have to do what with them? Rayon, help him out.
Split them.
Oh, wait, Rayon. I think Greg was about to get it. Greg, go for it.
Split them apart.
Yeah, that's right. We have to split them apart, and we have to split them apart into rectangular prisms. We should have split these apart into rectangular prisms. And when you do that, then Greg, you're exactly right. You have to go through and you have to find any missing lengths, widths, or heights in order to be able to solve. Sorry, I'm pulling up my answers here. Wrote them down last night. Excuse me. Great. Okay, so the answer to number 3 is 490 cubic meters, and the answer to number 4 is 120 cubic meters. Okay, great. So now that we remember how to solve for volume, what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be using it and applying it to word problems. Before I continue any further, I'm going to check to see if I have everyone's eyes. Krista, if you are not on the screen in the next 5 seconds, it has to be a check. I must be able to see you. Okay, first screen is good. Second screen, great. Third screen, ooh, Jesus and Amadou looking sharp this morning. Jaden on top of it, Jaden Cologne, looking excellent. Bella, let's get there. Rivka's there. Christian Lascano is there. Itzel, let's get here. Krista, I know you're working on your laptop. Somebody's going to call you about that, but I need to see you on your phone screen in the meantime. All right, great. So today we're going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to be walking through what it's like to solve volume word problems. So as we're solving volume word problems, it's very important that we treat this just like a normal word problem. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to invest and think, what is this question asking me? Then from there, you're going to figure out what information you need in order to solve, and then you're going to solve it just like normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and model one of these for you. We'll do one together, and then we will jump into our small group quiz. Here's the first problem I'm going to model. If you have your packet, it is guided practice. We do number 1. If you do not have your packet, that is okay. You can just keep following along on the screen. Great. So guided practice, we do number 1 says, Henry Lundquist is trying to fill his semi-truck trailer with boxes for his cross-country trip. His trailer is 40 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 10 feet tall. He realizes he will need an additional trailer that is twice as long, but just as wide and tall to carry all his boxes. What is the maximum amount of combined volume his boxes could be that he could fit into both of his trailers? So the first thing that I'm going to do as a good mathematician is I'm going to think about what this question is asking me. I see the question right here. It says, what is the maximum amount of volume his boxes could be that could fit into both of his trailers? So really, it looks like I'm looking for the volume of both of his trailers. Now that I know what the question is asking me, the next thing I need to think about is what information I'm going to need in order to solve. In order to solve the volume of both of his trailers, I'm obviously going to have to calculate the volume of each trailer and then add them together. So what I'm going to need is trailer 1, length, width, and height, and trailer 2, length, width, and height. I know that because I know that's the volume for formula. So now that I know what the question's asking me and I know what information I'm going to need to solve, I can go back and find that information. So it says here that his first trailer is 40 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 10 feet tall. Great, so I've got all the information for my first trailer. But then it says for his second trailer, he's going to need one that is twice as long. Well, if it's twice as long, and I know the first trailer is 40 feet, How long is the second trailer going to be, Jaden Calhoun?
80 feet.
How did you figure that out?
I did 40 times 2 and got 80.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we just take the first trailer, we multiply it times 2, and we will get 80. All right, so then for the width, Jane, you can go ahead and mute. Thank you so much. Then for the width, let's see what it says. Oh, it says just as wide and tall. What does that mean? Who can break down for me what it means when it says it's just as wide and tall? Let's see. Let's look for a scholar paying close attention. Haley, sit up. Haley, what does it mean when it says it's just as wide and tall?
It means that it has the same width and length, I think.
Great, that's exactly right. Or not length, width, tall means height. So it has the same width and the same height. Very good. So I'm just going to copy those from my first trailer mix. Mr. Feeney, I think I was able to do that for you. Great. Okay, so good mathematicians, we know. We first have to figure out what the question's asking us. We second have to figure out what information we need to solve. And so the next thing I need to do is what, Allison Camargo?
The next thing that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to find the total volume for both.
No, Allison, pay close attention to what I'm saying. The first step is I figured out what the question is asking me. The second step is I figured out my information. What's the next step I need to do? Mathematician's plan, what's the next thing we do?
After you figure out your information, you're supposed to do your equation.
Exactly, that's right, +1 Allison. So I'm supposed to write that labeled equation. You can mute yourself. Great, so now that I'm writing that labeled equation, I know I'm gonna have to take the volume of one trailer and add it to the volume of the second trailer. So I'm gonna do 40 times 15 times 10 plus 80 times 15 times 10. And then I make sure to label it length, width, height, trailer 1, length, width, height, trailer 2, and then I would solve. For the sake of time, we're not going to solve today, but I just wanted to make sure that we know how to go through all the process. Of course, once we get to this point, we know how to multiply and add so we can successfully solve this problem. All right, pencils up. Let's move to we do number 2. This time you are going to help me out. Ilya Kovalchuk has a shoebox that he wants to use to hold another box. The shoebox is 12 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 4 inches tall. The smaller box he is putting inside of it is 6 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 2 inches tall, and is completely filled. How much space is left in the shoebox? So the first thing I do is I figure out what the question is asking me. Jacob Rivera, what is this question asking me?
The question is asking if the shoebox is 12 inches long, 6 inches.
You don't have to tell me the
wide.
information, just what is the question asking, Jacob?
How much space is left in the shoebox?
Great, so I have to figure out if I put one box inside of the other box, how much space is left on the outside. Thank you very much, Jacob, that's +1. Okay, so now that I know what the question is asking me, I need to think about what information I'm going to need to solve without giving me numbers. Chelsea, what information will I need in order to solve?
The numbers are going to
No, don't give me numbers. What information do I need?
you need the length of this in the height for the bigger
I need it for the bigger box and for the,
you also need the length of this.
great, that's exactly right. I need the length, the width, and the height. You can mute yourself for the smaller box and for the bigger box. So bigger, smaller, length, width, height, length, width, height. Everybody go ahead and fill in that information now. What is the length, width, and height for the bigger box and for the smaller box? Everyone should be writing this down. Scrolling through screens to make sure we're all writing it. See Haley writing, sitting up tall. Jesus is writing. Lasana is writing. Take about 5 more seconds. Great, so we should all have these numbers. The length of the bigger box is 12 inches, the width is 6 inches, the height is 4 inches, and then the smaller is 6, 6, and 2. Remember to always put your unit because it'll be very important to make sure your unit is matching each other. We can't be multiplying inches times feet, that won't work. So now that I have this information, what am I ready to do? Kareem? I already unmuted you. What are you ready to do? Kareem, I already unmuted you. What are you ready to do?
Next we need to multiply them.
Well, what do we have to write?
We need to.
In the mathematician's plan, after we have our information, what do we write?
Answer. You have another challenge at the bottom, which is to pick
Kareem, you do know it is a check.
how you
Sit up tall. I don't know is not an acceptable answer.
for the equations that made a 10. If
We
you
did it up here. After we got our information, what did we write?
at number 1,
Length times width times height.
What is this called, Kareem?
yes, mommy.
Equation.
Great. We're going to write our labeled equations.
Say that.
Kareem, it is now a no excuse. That is not an appropriate way to respond. So I'm going to write my labeled equation. 12 times 6 times 4. That's the first, the bigger box. And then I have 6 times 6 times 2. That is the smaller box. Once I calculate the volumes of each of these, what am I going to do with them? Isaiah?
Once you calculate the volumes, you're going to once you calculate the volumes of each of the boxes, you're going to add the product that you get.
Everyone evaluate. See, a lot of us not paying close attention. This is not the way our morning is going to go. We need to be paying close attention. The question is asking how much space is left, Jaden, pay attention, in the shoe box after we put the smaller box inside of the bigger one. If I'm looking for this space on the outside, I drew you a picture here. Am I going to add the products together? Okay, that was what most of us were agreeing with the first time, so make sure you're paying close attention. What am I going to do instead, John Mark?
So what you're going to do instead is that you're going to have to subtract.
Great, thank you. I'm going to have to subtract because I'm looking for the bigger box minus the smaller box to tell me that space that's left on the outside. And then that will give me the space left. Okay, just like last time, we're not going to go ahead and solve. We just wanted to practice setting up our equations. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our breakout groups. Teachers, make sure you have those PowerPoints ready that I emailed you. We are going to work through a couple of these problems, and you are going to solve to get the correct answer.
All right, make sure you move to your independent practice. Have it ready. I'm going to walk you through what problems we're going to be doing together.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
All right.
Oh, I gotta change it, sorry.
Sitting up nice and tall.
All right, good morning, scholars. So today we are going to continue working on volume word problems. What we're going to do during this time is I'm going to walk you through on a PowerPoint. It's going to be much easier than me trying to show you my screen. Give me just a second. But the first problem we're going to do is actually problem number 2. So if everybody can turn over to problem number 2, that's where we're going to get started. As you're waiting, you can go ahead and start reading the problem. Okay, so the first problem says, everybody turn to this problem if you have it. If you don't, that's okay. The first problem says, what is the height of a rectangular prism with a length of, with a length of 10 inches, a width of 3 inches, and a volume of 210 inches cubed? Whenever I am doing a word problem, what is the first thing that I need to do as a good mathematician? Amadou?
You need to find out what the question is asking you.
Great, Amadou, what is this question asking me?
This question, I'm asking you, what would be the height what would be the height of a rectangular prism if there was a length of
Great,
10?
freeze. You're telling me the whole question. That's not what I asked. What is it asking me for? What do I have to solve for, Amadou?
You have to solve for.
Am I solving for the volume?
No.
What am I solving for?
The height.
The height, very good. I am solving for the height. Okay, so now that I know what I'm solving for, what is the next thing that I need to do? Ryan.
The next thing.
Loud and proud, Ryan.
The next thing you need to do is that you need to write the formula 10 times 3 times question mark equals.
No, that's not the next step, guys. We just went over the steps twice. You need to know the steps to the mathematician's plan. We've been doing them all year. Haley, what is the next thing I need to do?
You have to list our information.
Great. Ryan, what's the next thing I need to do? Ryan, after I know what the question's asking me, what's the next thing I need to do?
List the information.
Great. Haley, +2. Okay, so now that I know what it's asking me and I know that I need to list the information, I'm going to go ahead and do that. What information do we have here? What information do we have, Kareem?
That is 10 length and 3 width inches and a volume of 210.
Great, it's exactly right, +2, Kareem. Okay, so I've got that information. Sorry. There we go. I've got that information of a length of 10 inches, a width of 3 inches. We don't know the height, and the volume is 210 inches cubed. Greg, what's my next step in the process?
Your next step in the process is to write an equation.
Great. Go ahead and write your equation on your paper. Everyone pencils to paper, write your equation. Take about 15 more seconds to write that equation. Lysana, what equation did you write?
My equation was 10 times 3 times question mark equal to 110.
Evaluate. Okay, that's the right equation. Great job. All right, so there we go. 10 times 3, which is length times width, times the height equals 210, which is the volume. All right, so now that we have that equation, we are ready to solve. What's the first thing I would, actually everybody go ahead and solve on your page and then we'll check at the end. Make sure you have this equation. If you don't, make it this equation and then solve. Kristen, make sure I can see your face. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Brandon, if you have the packet, you can go ahead and try number 3. If you don't have the packet, just wait. Okay, you have 30 more seconds. Everyone needs an answer. Brandon, you can go ahead and chat me your answer. Okay, Amadou, what's the answer?
I got 7 inches.
Evaluate 7 inches. Oh, you know what, Brandon? I was wrong. Go back and check that, please. I'm waiting on everybody else to evaluate. Ryan has evaluated. Kareem has evaluated. Krista's there. Brandon, go back and check. You added a 0 in. Great, that's exactly right. The correct answer is 7 inches. Here's how we solved. You do 10 times 3 equals 30. Oh, wait. Yep, that's my fault. I put something wrong here. I apologize. So 10 times 3 equals 30. And then 30 times 8 equals 210. When you do 210 divided by 30, you mark out the zeros. And then it should be 21 divided by 3 equals 7. I apologize. This math is not quite correct. Okay, so the correct answer should be 7 inches, which is answer B. All right, let's do the next one. The Scotts have a sandbox in their yard. The sandbox is 6 feet wide. I think that says 6 feet. 6 feet wide, 5 feet long, and has a depth of 1 foot. If each bag of sand fills a volume of 3 cubic feet, how many bags of sand will they need? All right, let's just walk through the steps first. Haley, when I'm doing the mathematician's plan, what is the first thing that I need to do in order to solve?
First, we have to figure out what the question's asking us.
Great. After we figure out what the question is asking us, what do we do next, Amadou? Sorry, say it again.
We find out what the question is asking us. We're gonna have to write a liquid equation.
Not yet. After we find out what the question's asking us, what do we write next? What have we been writing on the side each time? Greg, what do we write once we know what the question's asking us?
We write what the length, the width, the length, the width, and the height is.
Great. We write the information that we need to solve. Amadou, what do we do?
We write the information that we solve.
Great. After we write the information that we need to solve, Kareem, what do we do last before we solve? Right, A?
After that, when we solve, we need to write equations.
Great. We write a labeled equation and then we solve. Do number 2 or number 4 on your own. Go. Three minutes to solve. Urgent pencils to paper. Ryan, focus, please. So Brandon, they have a sandbox that they're trying to figure out how much sand they need to put, or how many bags of sand they need to put inside. So first you have to figure out how much sand will fit inside, and then you have to figure out how many bags that would be. Ryan, stay focused until you have this solved. You shouldn't be looking around. Do you have it solved?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have your packet?
Yeah.
Move on to number 6. Actually, Ryan, do number 5. Try number 5. Okay, Brandon's back in Scholar. He's got it. Let's take a little less than a minute. If you have number 4 and you want to move on to number 5, you may do so. If not, please just wait patiently. I'm sorry to wait on everybody on remote learning. Brandon, while you're waiting, why don't you try and see how many bags they would need if each bag filled 6 cubic feet. So if each bag filled 6 cubic feet instead of 3 cubic feet, how many bags would they need? Thank you. Krista, pay attention. Working urgently. All right, let's go over it. So first things first, we've got to have our information. Put your pencils down, eyes on the screen. Great job, looking good, looking good. Mariama, eyes on the screen. Oh, did we lose Haley? Oh, no, there she is, great. Okay, so first thing we've got to do is we've got to think, what's the question asking us? Greg, what's that question asking us?
The question is asking us how many bags of sand will they need?
Great. Now that we know what the question is asking us, what do we need to do next, Amadou?
We need to write all our information down on the page.
Great job. Way to learn from your mistake from last time. Good job. All right, so we've got to write all our information. Our information is that we have a length of 5 feet, width of 6 feet, height of 1 foot. We're not sure about the volume. And then we have this extra piece of information that we need in this problem. 1 bag of sand is going to equal 3 cubic feet. Now that we know all of that, what is the next thing that we need to do, Krista?
First thing, the second thing that we need to do is that we have to figure out the.
We've already figured out what we need to know. We figured out what we already know. Next, we're going to write a
Equation, a labeled equation.
Exactly. So our labeled equation should look something like this. We're figuring out the volume, 5 times 6 times 1, and then we're dividing it by the 3 feet that go into a bag, and that will equal the number of bags of sand. Once we do that, then we will solve. So 5 times 6 is 30, 30 times 1 is 30, so the volume is 30. And then we're going to divide 30 by the number of feet in the bag, which is 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So the correct answer is answer A. Let's try if we can squeeze one more problem in. Caroline and Rusty have boxes that have the same length and width. Caroline's box has twice the volume of Rusty's box. If Rusty's box is 5 inches high, what is the height of Caroline's box? Yes, Krista?
Wait, you want the answer?
Yeah, I want the answer.
Okay.
Yes, Lasana?
What if you already solved?
Great, then you can go on to the next one. Why don't you try number 9? Yes, Krista?
Is it 50?
Why are you calling out the answer? No, it's not, but don't do that. We're going to take about 30 more seconds, then we're going to talk through it. All right, we're going to go ahead and go over this really quick. So what I'm looking for is I'm trying to figure out Rusty, the height of Caroline's box. So I know Rusty's box, length and width, don't know. Height is 5. So the volume is going to be length times width times 5. Put your eyes on the screen, whether you solved it or not. Caroline's box is length times width times height, but I don't know anything about it. But what I do know is that if Caroline's box is 2 times Rusty's and their length and width are the same, then the height of Caroline's box must be twice the height of Rusty's. So if Rusty's height is 5, then Caroline's box must have a height of 10. Great job. Okay, we're going to go back to our main group and we are going to discuss what we have learned today. For homework tonight, you're going to be doing the same type work. Remember, I'm looking for you to list your information, write a labeled equation, and then solve. The big takeaway for today is to make sure that you are always looking for what information you need and then finding the information you have, writing a labeled equation, and solving. All right, scholars, so I hope today you got lots of practice with volume word problems. Remember that volume word problems are very similar to any other type of problem. The big thing is that you want to make sure you're following the mathematician's plan. What is the question asking me? What information do I need to solve? Write a labeled equation and then use a strategy to solve. Once you use that mathematician's plan, it's pretty simple because the equation is, or sorry, the formula for volume is just length times width times height. And then after that, you will have to go and work through to figure out what the question is asking you and make sure to answer that. Reading group number 1 for Miss Kazinas, you're going to be meeting right after this. I believe Miss McCauley's reading group will be meeting as well. But it's that time that everybody loves, time for Scholar of the Block. Take it away, Miss McCauley.
Well, this scholar is a scholar that's been impressing me since the moment we pressed go. We have been doing Pictionary and math, and this scholar has been involved in all of it. Not only that, but this scholar has made it so that I can always tell when they are in Scholar. I am looking for them. I found them. The Scholar of the Block was, in fact, Xavier. Xavier,
Yay!
congratulations on Scholar of the Block.
Congratulations, Xavier. Great job. Okay, so as a reminder, we will be back at 10:10 for TA. If you're in a reading group that is meeting right now, please make sure that you go to that group. If not, you may stay logged in. Just turn your camera and your microphone off. Thank you very much.